All right, so there's a guy online. I believe his name is Simon Sinek, and he has a TED talk that talks about your why, right? And he's talking more from a business perspective, but the idea is like, why does your company do what it does? It's kind of like your mission statement, like we want to help people live their best lives, something along those lines. But of course, he goes more in depth about it, and I highly recommend watching that video. But what I want to talk about today is your personal why. Like, why are you doing this type of thing? Not from a standpoint of concern, like your mama might ask you, why are you doing this? Not that. More like, why are you wanting to choose a life that's potentially more stressful and hard versus a very easy path of a 9 to 5 in employment, right? Employment offers, I mean, it's a pretty easy path. Everybody understands that path. You get a job, you work. The end. You get a check. Being a business owner and being an entrepreneur means a lot more work. A lot more work. It's potentially way more fulfilling. But what I really want you to understand is why you're doing this. Why are you turning away from this path that's very clean, paved, established path to just dart into the woods, right? I mean, there's got to be a reason why. Why are you jumping off the path, right? Like, it's funny. Like you have, that Yellowstone Park, and people get off the path and they're falling in geysers and stuff. It's like they jump off the path and it's dangerous. But why do they do it? Well, because it's potentially rewarding because they can see some things that everyone else doesn't see, right? That's the risk. The reward is seeing something and experiencing something that no one else has seen and no one else has done. And you can say, I did this thing and now you have all these great stories people want to listen to, right? But there's got to be a reason why you're doing what you're doing. The reason why you're leaving the path of established safety, relative safety, right? And going and doing this risky thing that has endless potential, but unknown pitfalls, right? For me, when I was employed at my last job and I was thinking about being on my own, like for me, it was like a sense of freedom and control. I had bosses who were just always nitpicking me and micromanaging me. My clients loved me and I had all these great reviews from my clients, but my managers were just nitpicking me to death. And at that point, my why was I want to control my own efforts to where no one's trying to hold me back, right? And I felt like if I was on my own, I could just be free and just run as fast as I wanted to run and not have all these people trying to stop me and slow me down and potentially interfere with me being great. You know what I mean? That was my why, like control and freedom. But when I got laid off, unexpectedly, I might add, my why became, I don't want to be homeless. All right. And so it switched real quick. It went from pie in the sky, like I'll be able to control my own destiny, to I need food, right? I mean, overnight, like, because I knew I wanted to leave my job. I was planning to leave my job, but I got laid off maybe about a month and a half earlier than I thought. So I wasn't ready, right? It's like being at the high dive. Your friends dare you to go up there, and now you're on the high dive, and you're like, oh, whoa, I just need some time. I just need this, right? And, just imagine someone pushing you off, right? I was kind of ready. I did go on the ladder. I did walk up there. But when I saw, like, the reality, it is scary, right? So I went from I'm not trying to be homeless and I need food to basically, well, let me back up. I was in survival mode for a long time. That first 18 months or so, and I'm just being honest. Survival mode. I need food. I need to pay my mortgage. Okay, I got behind on my mortgage a couple times, and it was stressful. But I didn't really know as much about business then as I do now. This was way back in '08, right? I didn't have these videos. YouTube wasn't really out there like that, giving people advice like this, right? So I just had to read books in like some random forums, and it wasn't helpful. I finally got out of that survival rut. And then I had to ask myself a question 2 years into it, like, why am I really doing this? Right? And it kind of slowed me down a little bit, if I'm going to be honest. It was like, wow, I've been struggling and surviving for so long and saving money and just trying to live and just have enough to eat that I never really asked myself, like, why am I doing this, right? Because I knew in the past what my why was before when I still had the job. I knew it was control and all that stuff. And here it was. I had that control. I could go as fast as I wanted to. It's just that people weren't hiring me as fast as I wanted to go. And that put me back in the survival mode. Like, I just need to do what I need to do to survive. But what I'm saying is, if you have a good why, like, I want to make sure that people have access to financial services. I want to make sure people have access to clean water. I want to make sure that I make custom cakes for people's birthdays and make them special. Like, whatever that thing is, that's the thing that's going to hold you when things get hard, right? That's the reason why you jumped off and went into the forest, right? That's the reason you jumped off the path of established safety and normal expectations to do this unproven thing. And what I'm saying is, hold on to that reason why you just went left, right? That's the thing that's going to hold you and keep you going when things get hard, because things do get hard. Things don't always happen the way you want them to. For those of you in relationships might fluctuate because your money's going to be funny for a while, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it, right? So the best thing you can do is always remember, like, why did I make this decision in the first place? And that should give you enough of a reason to stick through it when things get tough, or when things get confusing, or when you get all these extra opportunities to do different things or potentially branch off. Because sometimes when you're successful, it's because you may be like adding on to different services or adding on different things to your core service, and you might start getting too spread thin, right? You go back to that, like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? And then it helps bring you back to your focus so you can stay on the right track, right? Because it's just you. There's no boss or there's no manager to tell you what your objectives are. There's no boss or manager to tell you what your goals are. You have to come up with your own goals. And unlike your job where you just wrote some goals just to say you did it for your review, like, the goals for yourself are really important, because you need to be able to say 6 months from now, I did the thing I set out to do 6 months ago, a year from now, and so on and so forth, right? You got to be able to link your goals to why you originally jumped off the track in the first place. Like, what's important to you? It might be your kids. It might be your marriage. It might be something you wanted to prove to yourself, but always come back to those things. And it's okay if they change. Like, for me, it was control. And then I had a son, and then that became a really big thing. But it makes you work hard. It keeps you focused. And when you have those bad days, it keeps you pushing through, because I'm telling you, the stresses of owning a business are just different from having a job. Jobs are stressful, but it doesn't mean that having a business magically erases all your problems. It just creates a different set of problems that you have way more influence over, right? That's the appeal. You can control some of the environment to a degree, but with your job, you have no choice, right? But there are different stresses. Stress doesn't disappear. It just changes. The type changes, but you do have more control over the business one. But again, whatever your reason is, whatever your motivation is, whether it's to help your mom buy her a house, or help your dad, or help your family, or there's some noble thing, or maybe not so noble, it doesn't matter. As long as it's strong and legal, right? As long as it's a strong, motivating thing for you to get off the beaten path and really apply yourself, then write it down, put it on a piece of paper, put it in your wallet. Maybe there's a picture that represents it. I have a screen. My screensaver on my phone is me and my son, right? Every time I look at my phone to do anything, I see him, and it keeps me focused because I want to be the type of man that he looks up to, and I want to be able to say that your dad applied himself and looked fear in the face, and even though he was scared and concerned sometimes, I still went out and did it, and I want to set that example for my son. So my why has changed, and I think it can change. Just as long as you have something that keeps you moving forward, that's the most important. All right, I didn't mean to get all sentimental. I just want to let you know, have something keeps you pushing, because you will have bad days. And even if you don't have bad days, you need something to keep you focused. So you're always focused on that true north of, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I jumped over the fence at Yellowstone National Park. I can fall into these rocks and scald myself, but it was worth it because I got to see and do something that no one else has done, and I can brag about it, and it's cool. All right. Anyway, y'all have a good day. Talk to y'all next time. Bye.